Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari exclusive, F1 expert Tony Jardine reveals when move can happen. That is the verdict of motorsport expert Tony Jardine, who has compared the Italian manufacturers to football behemoths Manchester United. Is widely regarded as one of the world's greatest ever drivers and secured a fifth F1 title last year to further that notion. The Brit, tied down at Mercedes for another 2 years, has the opportunity to draw a level on 7 World Drivers' Championships with racing great Michael Schumacher. Hamilton, though, will be free to leave Mercedes at the end of the 2020 campaign, and he has previously discussed the possibility of driving with Ferrari. Ferrari have endured a barren run over the past decade, failing to secure a title since Kimi Räikkönen and Felipe Massa claimed the Constructors' Championship in 2008. However, they remain one of the sport's leading lights, and their man looked certain to fight Hamilton for glory in 2018 before his challenge fell away. Jardine, who worked with Goodyear, Brabham, McLaren and Lotus in F1, believes talks over Hamilton potentially moving to Ferrari will have already taken place. And he can see the 34-year-old trading the Silver Arrows for the prancing horse as long as Ferrari remain competitive at the front of the grid. Yes, after those 2 years, at Mercedes, he might finish his career at Ferrari, and do a 2-year deal with them, which would be fantastic, Jardine exclusively told Express Sport. Any driver always thinks about going to drive for Ferrari because it's the dream. It's like the Manchester United of the sport. It's the red colors, it's the heritage, this incredible history. British drivers have done very well there. You look at Mike Hawthorn, you look at Peter Collins, you look at Nigel Mansell, and the Italians absolutely loved him. They would love to see the Lewis Hamilton helmet in the red Ferrari. It would be absolutely stupendous. I'm sure that's in the back of his mind, and I'm sure there have been discussions in the past. But, if Ferrari were doing badly, I don't think he'd go there. Ferrari would have to be looking good and be a good prospect. But it'd be a great way for him to finish his career. Hamilton will begin his F1 title defense in March when the Australian Grand Prix takes place at Melbourne's Albert Park. Next news: Massa already upsetting Formula E rivals! It's fair to say Felipe Massa hasn't set the world of Formula E alight with his performances so far, finishing 17th and 18th in his first 2 races. However, he has managed to get under the skins of a few of his competitors. During qualifying for Saturday's Marrakesh Prix in Morocco, Massa appeared to get in the way of Nelson Piquet Jr., who was on a flying lap. Piquet, the 2014-15 Formula E champion, said over the radio, "I hope you've seen what Massa did on the last corner, damned amateur." Massa also managed to upset British driver Oliver Rowland, with Rowland complaining over the radio, "What is this Massa guy doing?" Fair to say Massa hasn't endeared himself to his rivals quite yet, but 11 Grand Prix wins shows that he is a class act and he'll get used to Formula E eventually. Next news: Verstappen happy with interesting day with stewards. Max Verstappen completed his first day of his community service punishment at the Marrakesh Prix in Morocco on Saturday. The Dutch driver observed the stewards to learn about the process of stewarding a big race. This comes after Verstappen was slapped with a punishment after his altercation with Esteban Ocon in the aftermath of the Brazilian Grand Prix. The Red Bull driver pushed and threatened Ocon after the Frenchman hit him and cost him the race win. Verstappen said in an FIA statement, "It's interesting to see it from the other side." Normally you can't spend an entire day with the stewards. Everybody does their own job during the weekend, and it's good to really see what it takes to make these important decisions. Sometimes a decision might not be nice for a certain person, but it has to be taken and you have to follow the rules. I think it's good to experience different things in racing rather than just sitting in the car. To be here and do this kind of work has been a constructive thing for me. Next news, Leclerc did a good job because of Ericsson. Marcus Ericsson may no longer be a Formula One driver, but new Ferrari signing Charles Leclerc should thank his former teammate for helping him in 2018, says Frederick Vasseur. Last season, in what would turn out to be Ericsson's last in Formula One, the Swede partnered rookie driver Leclerc at Sauber. It was the latter who bagged all the plaudits as he scored 39 of Sauber's 48 points with a best result of P6 at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But while Ericsson failed to match his teammate in the points tally, team boss Vasseur reckons Leclerc may not have achieved what he did were it not for Ericsson pushing him hard. I think Leclerc did a very good job. And he did a very good job also because Marcus was improving, Vasseur told Racer. If you consider Marcus compared to 2017, I think he did a huge step forward. When he first hit the track in Melbourne he was 6 kilos lighter than the previous year, and from the beginning he made a step forward from then. Even in the last part of the season, he was consistently at the same lap time as Charles. He was in front of Charles in Sao Paulo, just behind in Austin, and it was very helpful for Charles as well to have someone as a reference like Marcus. Marcus also has the advantage of very good technical feedback, and he helped us a lot at some stages of the season to take decisions on the technical side. When you come to F1 from F2 it's not easy to have a reference on the performance. Next news, Marco Verstappen moved clear of ex-Red Bull F1 teammate Ricciardo. Max Verstappen's progress has moved him clear of his ex-Formula One teammate Daniel Ricciardo in both qualifying and race trim, according to Helmut Marko. Verstappen and Ricciardo were broadly equal in their time together at Red Bull from early 2016 to the end of last year, although Verstappen enjoyed a more impressive 18 campaign overall. He matched Ricciardo, who has moved to Renault for 2019, with 2 races wins but scored a further 9 podiums, and Red Bull Motorsport advisor Marko believes Verstappen established himself as a clearly better driver. There is specific data, Marko told Autosport. In qualifying the gap to Ricciardo is greater. In the race he's also a bit faster. The strange thing is Max sometimes slides more, but still manages to keep the tires alive. When he came to us, it wasn't like that yet. In the second year, 2017, Ricciardo dropped back a bit, but he recognized that, and then he worked intensively with his physio and other things on himself, so he came close to Verstappen again. But in the second half of the 2018 season Verstappen has clearly moved away. Marko said Red Bull would mourn Ricciardo because of how he pushed Verstappen on track and the way they worked together off it. However, he believes Verstappen proved in 2018 he had developed into a stronger driver with a fearsome reputation. Verstappen ended the season 4th in the championship, ahead of Mercedes' Valtteri Bottas, but would have been 3rd ahead of Ferrari's Kimi Räikkönen as well if not for his controversial Brazilian Grand Prix clash with Esteban Ocon. The best championship finish of his short F1 career capped a strong recovery from Verstappen, who had started the year with race-ruining clashes with Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel and Ricciardo, and a costly practice crash in Monaco. The basic problems were a certain lack of control and impatience, said Marco of how Verstappen arrested that slide. The point is Verstappen is fast enough. He doesn't have to constantly prove that he's the fastest. He doesn't need that. He already has an image in the duel that it's better not to mess with him. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to share and subscribe to your channel to get the latest sports news around the world. Wished health and success. Goodbye.